No, we'll let you know. It's fucking up. The start screen was on for so. There we go. We're live. Isaac finally got it done by himself. Parker, good to see you.
Good to see you.
Got to ask you a question. You naked under there?
Of course.
Okay. Bobby, we have here as well, which if you guys remember, 2 streams ago, 1 stream ago, we did say we'd bring on the man, the myth, the legend that pretty much called this $124,000, $126,000 Bitcoin. Told us pretty much in our group all to sell, and then he doubled the damage by shorting it. So a lot of guys have been asking for him. You're not going to see him because he makes too much money and he's a mystery man, but you will hear from him. Bobby, are you there?
I am here. Good to see you guys.
Yeah, good to see a blank screen. Seems like we're fake gurus here. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Can't complain. It's an interesting time to be alive.
Yeah, I woke up today, both you guys and you guys at home, and everything was going well, but I just seen Bitcoin again was approaching $100,000, $102,000, and I'm like, how long is this going to last for? So I think it's getting, or a lot of people are getting kind of frustrated, right? Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, manipulation has been, I guess, the main protagonist of this whole bull run, quote unquote.
Okay. We've got some points we want to talk about, and then we want to talk about halfway through this video, Bobby. I want to go back to you on the 90 to 94K Bitcoin that you've been telling us, and like we and Parker have been talking about on the stream. So I want to go. Is that still a possibility, by the way, before I come back to that?
Yes, that's still a possibility. However, now we have to, this game is getting harder and harder to play. So you always have to absorb whatever information comes out. And right now it looks like the US government is going to reopen again. So that changes things slightly. So yes, my target still stands, but I think we're going to have a build-up first, and we're probably going to revisit the 116K Bitcoin before we go down to that level.
I'm just looking at the chat right now, and it just seems like sell everything while you can. No, you're not going to be rich, blah, blah, blah. And it seems like it's just a 50% standfall with people selling or they're DCing in to make their life-changing money. So it just looks like 50-50. 50-50 across the board. And I think we've seen that in our group as well, 50-50. Some guys, you know, have sold their altcoins and went back to Bitcoin, which is fine. They're still in the game, but it's like, you know, some of these altcoins that we all love, those were, you know, people's saviors for this bull run, right? But it just hasn't played off yet. I mean, Sui, your coin, Parker, down 50%. My coin, HBAR, down a lot right now. Solana now 150. I think we did some of these DeFi calls where we're looking at ranges at 190 and we're at 150, Parker. Can you believe that? Like, what is going on with these altcoins, man? And again, is this the time, or when Bobby gets at 90 to 94K, is that where you make the money? But they just seem to be, every time we do this stream, the coins are just down all the time.
The market is honestly meant to break you. So I understand that people are frustrated. And I would be too. And I think part of the problem is because I think people always feel like they have to do something with their bags.
Yep.
So instead of just relaxing, maybe sitting on cash, you don't even have to short if you don't want to. You know, if you don't like that game, you don't have to do it. But it's okay to get out of the way. You know, when the bus is coming, just get out of the way, let the bus through. And then if you feel so inclined to do so, then get back into market. Get back in the market. So, you know, even I hear people all the time. It's like, hey, when's the new short? I mean, I'm telling you again, I already have shorts set up again. If the market allows to revisit Bitcoin at 116K, maybe 117K, I'm definitely shorting again. I mean, it's a no-brainer for me. But then again, it's the hardest part is not to get emotional about the whole thing, because everybody thinks they're going to make up everything they lost. They're going to make it on one trade. And that's the easiest way to go broke.
Yeah. Let's talk about the fear and greed tanking. Parker, you put this on our notes. What's nice is Parker actually came here prepared, right? So I said to him yesterday, you know, it's your turn to do the live stream notes. And, you know, I went to sleep happy. I wake up and it's like 20 minutes before the stream. I was like, where are the notes? And he was like, there was nothing there. So Parker has gave the most bearish ChatGPT nonsense for this stream. So, you know, if we've got anybody to blame, it is that guy in the Versace coat that, guess what, I paid for, by the way. So there's that. He put one thing on the list, the fear and greed index tanking. Parker, what do you mean by that? We're at 25 right now. We're almost at the lows of the 17s to 18s down around about here. Do you think we go below that? And if you do, is that when you're going to start accumulating your absolute nonsense Sui coin again?
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at it right now, and I don't think now is a bad time to start accumulating. I mean, if we just look back historically, it's usually good to be buying around these zones when everyone's scared. Later on, you're going to be in profit. The market is going to return towards those extreme greed areas, if not just back to neutral. You'll make money just holding back to neutral. But, you know, the market's job is to destroy you. It can stay irrational longer than you could ever stay sane. And once you start finally feeling those feelings of, oh my God, it's over, like, fuck it, I'm done with crypto, that's usually right about now when fear is maxing out and you make the exact wrong decision at the exact wrong time. You completely just, the reverse of what you should be doing. So as we're reaching this point and you see, you know, chat's getting more bearish, our group, like we said, people are starting to like set, you know, people are getting more bearish. They're selling out of positions like, man, maybe it's over. It's a great spot to at least just start DCAing back in, if not going big.
Are we coping? Imagine we round tripped it and we do these streams.
Could be, bro.
We do these streams every week and just Bitcoin goes to 99, 97, 95, 96. And we're still like, yes, a good time to buy 87, 85, 84, 60. A week after. No, but you're absolutely right. I remember vividly, you know, back, I think it was on screen right now. I think, when was that? Was that when we were talking about Solana and Render were so cheap? And I think I was telling my dad, I can't remember. But I remember these times were the absolute best times to buy. Not at 25, it was when we had like the 17, 19 on the Fear and Greed Index. And that was when altcoins would literally just be peak bottom and then they would come back up. We're not there yet, but we are close. We are close. And again, me and Parker, we're not traders, right? We're not traders. We're hodlers. We do some DeFi, etc. Bobby's the kind of trader here. Bobby, do we touch these levels of the 15 Fear and Greed Index?
I mean, it's It's possible, but look, don't let that index actually guide you into making any sort of decision because that index by itself is meaningless. So, I mean, I always go back to the charts. Honestly, they always tell the story first. That's, you know.
Okay, let's keep that thesis in mind. We're at the charts right now. We're on the weekly, and Bitcoin's at $102,000 as we speak, right? We've had little push-ups, we've had little waves, we've had further push-ups back down. We've had obviously the push-up that you called, and now we're back at $102,000, $23,000, give or take, off the all-time high. So when you look at this chart, okay, in your mind, where is it going? And now I know you said the 90 to 94K, but like how long? What should people do if because there's a lot of people on this stream, man, that like we can see in chat in real time. You know, they're thinking about selling. They maybe already have sold. Like, how do you help somebody out that's their first cycle when you see this price and they maybe bought at 125, right? And they maybe bought Solana, Sui's at the $5 or 250s. What should they do?
So, well, I can't tell anybody what they should do
Spiritual
because I only give out spiritual advice.
Spiritual advice.
Now, what I would say, so think about it this way. If you can open CoinGlass, and that's exactly where I would go so you can see what I'm talking about. If you just open CoinGlass and you want to look at the liquidation heat map.
You know what's bad? When you give me stuff to do in real time and you make me look like an idiot. You know? Why would you do that to me, Bobby? It's his first stream and he starts making me type in stuff. What a bad guest. Liquidation heat map.
I'm sorry.
You're good. I got you. I'm locked in. Okay, here we go.
Yeah, so just type in on Google CoinGlass. There you go.
I'm here.
Okay. So that one is if you can put it on the 7-day on the weekly.
He's gonna have to sign in. It's gonna gate him. Usually, at least, it could be capping.
Yeah, you're capping. Just you keep it.
It's gonna work for you. Oh, it makes me sign in to do that.
Okay,
yeah.
I'm on the weekly. Let's keep your attention.
Okay, so basically, my idea here is okay. So there's a lot more liquidity to the downside than there is to the upside, right?
Explain that. Where are you looking? Because a lot of people just don't understand what you're talking about right now. You're talking about like,
all right.
What are you looking at when you see that?
So you see
for most
all those
people, this just looks like a rainbow, right? They have
Okay,
no
so-
idea what they're looking at.
So if I have to dumb it down, you see all those bright colors at the bottom?
Rude. Yes, we do see these.
Okay, so you see how the colors are not that prevalent to the upside?
I mean, you tossed in a word there when we were trying to dumb it down and use the word prevalent.
All right, so bright colors at the bottom, not that many bright colors at the top.
Yes. Got you. I was just joking.
Yeah, no, I'm not trying to be a dick about it. I'm just trying to say it that way.
Got you.
So with the news that the U.S. government reopened, I'm honestly thinking the market makers are actually going to take us, I'm thinking anywhere between 112K to 17K maybe. And they're going to try to build up a little bit more liquidity, take out some of the people that are actually, that they try to short the market late, basically go in right now and short. They always want to do that. And from there, then they're going to take us to the downside. So I'm thinking that's what's going to happen first. And then we visit my target of 90 to 94K. So guess what? I mean, personally, what I'm doing, I'm going to have some limit orders around those levels. And I'm going to short. But guess what? Yes, I do short in size, but I'm not going to be an idiot and put, 10x, 15, 25x leverage because a 1-2% move is going to liquidate you. So there's no point in doing that. Just a safe 2-3x leverage, very manageable, other than, a mass liquidation event. Other than that, I mean, I think that's exactly what's going to happen. So, but then again, that doesn't mean I'm hoping or expecting a bear market right now. I don't think we're there yet because if you actually look at the monthly candle structure in Bitcoin. We're not there yet. So the structure hasn't broken. So even if we go down to 94K Bitcoin, the market structure still remains intact, if that makes sense.
I mean, we're looking bullish on the monthly. That's a 3-monthly. Duh.
Yeah.
We're still, if in doubt, zoom out, right?
Yeah.
But again, what I'm trying to say is a lot of these new people, you know what it's like, right? Your first cycle, you know, your brother, your mom, your dad get in, you tell them about cryptocurrency, you're doing all this good stuff, and they buy at 125 and they just lose the shit. So like those guys are the guys that are struggling right now because they have to make it happen. There's no if and when. And then what happens is they sell at 102, they buy Sui at 5 and they sell at 220. Those guys will never make any money. And it's just a sad reality.
Yeah, no, I get it. So myself, so if I was just starting, and this is just what I would do, not advice for anybody, but just what I would do if I just had, I don't know, let's say $1,000 and I'm dying to go into alts, you know, hoping that we get some sort of alt season, which we haven't had unless you're looking at something like BNB or Zcash or just a few in between, a few outliers. I would basically say, look, if you're planning for entries, now is not the time for an entry. That's just me, right? Now, if your entries are much higher than right now, I still wouldn't say sell at this point. Okay, so the time to sell was 126K.
I heard the laughter, Bobby, because you called that. I heard the laugh. I heard.
Yeah, but
laughing is.
Yeah, but look, it's a weird feeling because it brings me no joy to do this. I mean, it's much more fun to be bullish. It's much more fun to say like, oh, you know, we're gonna go to the moon, but you know, that just hasn't happened. It's you know, knowledge comes with pain. It's a lot more fun to be a bull than a bear.
Everybody in the chat just, yeah, I mean, people like what you say, Bobby. But we talk about that, Bobby, right? And you're like, everything's going sharp. But there are coins that you have rid. Like, what was that coin you called? Bullish or something? Like, that's another thing I wanted to ask you. And I told the guys with Parker last week, how are you finding these coins are just going crazy? Like, there was one called Bullish. Was it Bullish on DexClose or something?
Yeah, if you just go, I mean, I'd hate to make you do something right now. You know, just go on Dex Tools and type in bullish.
Again, he comes on these streams and he's ordering me around.
Ah, well.
As bullish still, by the way, this is like, we're not telling, do not effing buy this coin. I'm just giving you an example, right? Just to make that clear. You should not be buying these coins as far as I'm aware. Is it still alive? Is it this one?
Yeah, but remember I told you it was getting ready to rug?
Is it starting rug in real time?
Well, just look at it. Look at the chart.
I don't know. I'm not a chartist. You're a chartist. This looks like
just look at it.
Okay, yeah. So, and this is just not talking about bullish. Like, I don't even care about what bullish is. Nobody should buy bullish. But this is just an example of, like, you know, you been shorting, etc. You told some of the guys to get out, but you've also found coins that have ran alongside. Like, how have you done that? Because to me, it's just like, what, you know, you will find some winners that go outside, but how did you find this specific one, for example? Because I know there's a lot of guys that do want to be traders that, you know, want to find opportunities like this. What are the top 3 things you look for when the market's going down to find a gem like this?
I mean, to be fair, I wouldn't call this one trading. This is gambling. Anytime you get into meme coins, you're basically gambling. So I can't even say that with a straight face.
I mean, we don't know what your face looks like.
If you could see it, but yeah, I can't even not laugh about it. So I would never say
face reveal.
This would be trading at all. However, basically, you know, what matters with meme coins is just the narrative. And yes, I'm mostly sitting in cash right now, but I also leave a little part of my portfolio for speculative plays. Remember another one I told you guys about, that was the TITN token, Titan.
Mm-hmm.
That one's doing really well. If you look that one up, you can look it up on Dex Tools.
There's another
That's
one
more
of a Zcash as well, right? An OG coin, right? Is that still
yeah.
up?
Yeah, Zcash is still up.
Like what is causing Zcash? How do you even spell it? I don't even know. There we go, Zcash. What is causing coins like this to just go run against the market just like recently? Like how has this happened where an old OG coin is up 100%? You know, look at
Because
this.
because of the narrative.
Okay.
I don't know if you're aware, but they're coming out with the CBDCs and all these announcements on in Europe. So people are going to fly. They're going to gravitate towards privacy.
Okay.
That's why I believe Zcash just made a run.
Interesting. You think it has a shot?
Wait, say that again?
You think it has a shot to go back to whatever it was? This is like kind of like ICP's chart when it launched, right? I don't even know what the original price was. Was it really worth $4,000 one day? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think it gets there, but I don't think this is the top either.
Interesting.
But in the same token, just because I say I don't think this is the top, that doesn't mean go and buy it. You always have to look at your risk/reward, right? So even when you're trading, for me, the ideal setup, it's basically 2 to 1, right? So if I'm risking, so I'm gonna make it simple, right? So if I'm putting a trade for, let's say, $100, right? You always want to make twice as much than what you're willing to lose. Okay. So is it worth the return right now, risking, let's say, even if it does double in price, is it worth you getting an entry now? There's much better plays out there. So if you didn't buy under 200, you're late to the party. So that's the main thing I wouldn't do. I wouldn't FOMO into things.
Okay, cool. I want to ask you guys some questions, and we're going to come back to you, Bobby and Parker. Has there any been interesting questions in the chat? Because you've said pretty much nothing. It's almost like you've gone shy, and it's almost like you might be replacing these streams, Parker. Right? There was one guy that said, "Let me replace Parker."
Yeah, I saw that. I laughed. I said, "Come take it."
The irony here is that how is he shy wearing that little Versace robe?
Oh, don't call him out. Don't call him out. Don't call him out. Okay, that Versace robe was an absolute mission to buy from him. Okay, so let him have it. Let him have it.
That was a reward, my friend.
We're going to run through some questions because I always ask on the community post. We've got 6 or 7 questions to do, and if anybody else wants to ask any questions, even on specific coins or trading questions with Bobby, fire away. Parker will keep them, hopefully. That's your job, Parker. Just keep interesting questions that are actually valuable for me, Bobby, and yourself to answer. But Bobby, I want to chuck some questions to you as well, okay? Because it looks like people are just asking about specific coins, and you're kind of the guy for this. So, Bobby, are you still bullish on Render?
Yes, and no. I mean, do I still think it's going to run? Yes. Do I hold any at the moment? No.
Okay. Have you got a price prediction? Now, the interesting thing with Render is, I don't know if you guys remember, the Q's messaging me. He's on this chat. Don't replace Parker. I mean, Q, come on, bro. Parker's he's a good guy. I remember with Render, I was like, oh, I missed it, buying at 50 cents. And we're not at 50 cents. We went up to like $12, but we're week by week, this whole AI narrative, I don't know, is it going in the toilet? Is this the AI narrative that was here in 2024 and now it's just not doing well? Or are we just waiting for Bitcoin to recover and then all these coins will go crazy? We're almost less than $1 billion market cap on Render. It seems crazy to think that when not too long ago, as far as I remember, you were touching 5. So price prediction, Bobby, spiritual advice, go.
So honestly, I would say unless anything changes when it comes to the narrative and we actually get an alt season, I'm honestly thinking we'll probably get back to maybe the $9.
Okay.
Maybe if we have a really crazy run, which I just don't necessarily see at this point, I would say, I know it's hard to say like, hey, you need to adjust your expectations. And I'm just giving it to you straight. I have nothing to sell you here. I'm just telling you, you need to have those limit orders placed ahead of time, because I think if we do have this run, which I'm thinking, honestly, we're going to have a blow off top, but it's going to be quick. You also have to realize that there's a lot of bag holders just like you, whether you're holding Render, whether you're holding, even some of the darlings of, XRP has a lot of darlings, has a lot of people that absolutely believe in that coin. So, but there's millions like you out there. So you're going to be competing with them. And if you don't have those limit orders set and actually, like I said, adjust your expectations and start taking profits earlier, even if you miss even if you miss the all-time high, that's okay. You're going to feel a lot better doing that than just holding the bag and round tripping again, because at this point, you don't know if you're going to get another 4 years. You don't know if you're going to get another run.
Well, I did say I'd bring him on, but he is a realist, guys. I'm sorry if he's a little bit bearish. Sorry, chat. Next question. XRP or HBAR a better swing trade? Well, here's the thing about XRP and HBAR, right? These coins can effing move. The problem with XRP is, Bobby, remember when the days it was a stable coin? It already 7x pretty much, or 6x, whatever. HBAR back in the days, these lows at the 4 cents, obviously crazy where we are right now. Is HBAR or XRP a better swing trade? Well, for me, they're not swing trades. They're HODL, DCA, get as much as I can. Bobby, you got a thought on that? I know you like to swing trade, but it's...
yes. I don't hold XRP, maybe other than a few tokens here and there in another wallet. Personally, I'm not a fan of spot holding XRP, but I am a fan of futures trading XRP because it's the most predictable coin out there. So if you really study it, you can make a lot of money playing futures or even swing trading it.
Okay, next one. What DeFi platforms do you use? What wallets for different DeFi platforms? What cold wallets do you like? So the biggest kind of DeFi platforms we use, guys, if you're looking to get into it, we love VFAT for the majority of our coins. If you have Solana renders, Solana meme coins that you want to monetize, you can do that. And we also use Turbo Finance for SUI coins, SUI USDC, SUI Walrus that Parker's like. For a wallet, basically with your VFAT, you could use MetaMask. A lot of our guys like Parker are mentioning to do Rabi. It's just nice because you can see your DeFi positions with the Rabi wallet. For Orica, Phantom, same with Turbo Finance, Phantom, etc., etc. So again, we always say if you're looking at doing DeFi, just go and find a coin in VFAT, put $100 in, and just see what coins you can monetize in your portfolio. It's very, very simple. And if you like it, put in a little bit more money. As far as cold wallets, I know, Bobby, you just mentioned to me the other day that Trezor was coming out with a new wallet. I think it was Trezor, right?
Yeah. So I pre-ordered the wallet, but due to the government shutdown, they said that it might be delayed. But in any case, it should be coming, and it's supposed to be quantum resistant. So if you're thinking for the future and you want a good wallet, that's probably
not a fan of the ledgers anymore, Bobby?
Look, they already proved that they just cannot wait to sell you out to anybody, unfortunately. So no, I don't trust Ledger anymore.
Okay. I was hoping my Ledger still had that picture of Bobby asleep on it. It does not.
Parker just brings the most value, guys. Just something that nobody has a clue what he's
Someone's
talking
got to bring positivity and vibes. Come on now.
All right, we actually got a question for you, Parker. Okay, I'm going to give you some airtime here. You are the SUI king, okay? You have been one of the biggest ravers about SUI since the dawn of time. I guess for me, it's HBAR, and I guess for Bobby, it's kind of Crypto.com and Kronos and Rune, right? So everybody has their favorite altcoin, right? I can think of so many guys in our group, QXRP, Ryan, Ondo. I can think of, when you think of a guy and you're just like, oh, he's that guy, he's that coin, he's that coin, he's that coin. And you guys probably at home are like, if you got a little friend group, he's the HBAR guy, he's the XRP guy, he's that guy. Everybody likes their little altcoins, right? Parker Ray, I need some honest advice on SUI.
Yeah, I mean, prices to buy in, I'd be looking for SUI to move down to lows of $1.60. If Bitcoin even wicking down to the 93K level, I'd be looking for SUI around that $1.60 mark. I wouldn't, if we go lower than that, it's a possibility we close down to closer to $1.20, but I'm honestly not expecting that. And even if we do, it's like, I'm gonna be the more positive guy in this call. I'm not like overly bearish, like, oh, it's over forever. Like if we get the opportunity to buy lower, I'm gonna be buying lower, stacking bags.
I mean, we're getting opportunity on that every single week.
Chill the fuck out. I mean, even if you bought right now, I mean, back to $2. Sui's frequently visiting $4. I mean, and then frequently losing it again. So don't get me wrong, take some profits. But also, Sui's a great chain to monetize. So you're able to pick up some Sui at these prices with high potential for appreciation and monetize at such high APRs. Because Sui, even on other assets, Sui is just a great, like even just USDC, it's a great platform for high yields. So I'm really active on there through their DeFi ecosystem, and I quite like them. So this is a price where I'm picking up Sui. Like you said, big fan, married to the bag. Yeah, somebody check on Raul Paul, though. He's probably down bad. Same here, but just stacking at these prices.
You're a big advocate of Walrus Sui, right? You thought, it's a more riskier pool, but you can go a really wide range. And if you want to stack Sui, I'd much rather prefer this than USDC, in my opinion, because you're going to have to probably put a wide range when you're not really going to make that much unless you have a lot of money, and you could be cashed out, especially when Sui starts to run. So one of the best spiritual advice pools we can recommend, there's some Bitcoin ones as well, I think, right, Parker? But you like the Walrus Sui one. It just pays a lot. Again, you would have to like Walrus to do this pool, or it wouldn't really make sense, in my opinion. But yeah, there's some good ways to monetize Sui.
Yep, lots of opportunities on chain, and then getting involved in just picking up more Sui, looping it, starting to leverage against yourself. Like, it's a great time to make those plays and positions. We're exactly at the same price as we were back in April, and April's when I started doing those strategies earlier this year, and it resulted in lots of gains. So it's something I'm looking to do again here soon.
Okay, last question for this guy, because he asked too many coins. Ondo's an interesting one, right? Remember when Ondo, it still is, like, was this not like the BlackRock token, like this was going to go crazy? And it's still done well, don't get me wrong, but, Bobby or Parker, what do you think of Ondo going forward? Do you think there's first bull run, right? It's done something, but it's just bleeding like everything else. What do you think?
I mean, I think Ondo still has it. Yeah, I think Ondo still has a future because, it's BlackRock's darling coin. So, I mean, risk/reward. I mean, I see it maybe hitting definitely past $2. If it ends up being one of the darlings that's going to move, which I think it will. But yeah, I don't think it's done. And like I said, I'm not necessarily a bear. I just like to get the best entries. That's all it is.
All right, let's keep bashing through these, man, because I don't want to be doing questions all day. It's actually almost like these questions were specifically answered. Like, we had just had one there in Sui, and now guess what, Bobby? Guess what coin is next on the list? Crypto.com, Kronos. Of course it is. It's almost like the guys just knew you were going to be here. Kronos has got an interesting story. Remember when Kronos was supposed to go to $100? Remember that YouTuber? Like, who was that?
Yeah, that was Jay Gordon.
Yeah, remember this?
That was Jay Gordon.
Bro, trust me, guys. This is coming soon on screen. Trust me, this is coming one day. Anyways, Kronos has got an interesting kind of business model behind it. I think they were one of the most talked about exchanges in 2021 because they bought the Staples Center. They were advertising a lot on UFC, Formula One, etc. You guys remember that. And then they had the controversy with people like CoffeeZilla calling out the main guy called Chris that was doing some sketchy shit. But let's be honest, Crypto.com platform survived against the BlockFi, survived against the Celsius, survived against the FTX. So it did survive. But obviously, people are more interested in the coin. So the question to you, Bobby, is can it hit $1.20 peak cycle?
It's hard to say, but it's definitely going to move, and I'll tell you why. I mean, we did see not only the beginning of the bear market. Back then, I didn't have any money. I was one of the idiots that actually went into the Crow token because I wanted free Netflix. I have to admit it. I was one of those. But guess what? They were one of the first ones to actually start cutting. Everybody was giving out rewards back then with their cards and exchanges and all this. They were the first ones to basically say, like, look, we have to tighten up our belts. We have to keep, obviously profit margins alive. So they did all the hard cuts that, people didn't like, and they got a lot of backlash back in the day.
Yeah.
But they kept grinding. They kept grinding. They improved their cards. Now they came out with credit cards. Now you can basically hold for 5%. You can hold cash on crypto.com and they give you yield, depending on what level you are, right? So you get a 5%, close to risk-free. The only bad part is that they pay it to you. They pay you the yield in Crow token. But if you believe in it long term, that's okay. So does it go past $1.20? I think so. I think CRO is going to be one of the ones that actually moves. 120 is very realistic, I would say, especially right now. Don't forget that the Trump freaking media group, they went in and they invested millions of dollars with the partnership. That's why the token pumped all the way to, I think it was 38 cents or 39 cents at the top. So they definitely, obviously, obviously Trump is going to get, the media group is going to get, they have to get their money back. So I think this is going to be one of the tokens that is really going to run.
Bro, I'm sorry, Bobby. I just can't stop laughing. Parker goes away, and he just looks like the most ridiculous person. Isaac, can you put Parker on screen? Maybe you can. He just looks absolutely ridiculous, but no, you can't because Bobby's there. Anyways, the reason why I'm drawing these 5 squares, you're probably asking yourself, and no, it's not our future houses after this bull run. It's because you made a very interesting point, right? So most exchanges are most like, I don't want to say yield platforms, but most people that would give you rewards, right? You'd have Celsius, you'd have, crypto.com, you'd have BlockFi. Who else did you have? You had Voyager. Maybe one more. I guess you could say Binance, but not really. What was that other one? I can't remember. But basically what happened, Celsius went bust because, you made a very interesting point. What did Celsius try and do when the market was going shit? Alex Mashinsky probably said to himself, he's like, okay, we don't want to piss off users. We're going to raise the amount of money you can make. And guess what happened? They ran out of money and we all lost our money. You made a very interesting point about crypto.com. They seen that the market was going sideways and they lowered the rates. Yeah, they maybe lost some short-term users. And guess what? The short-term users probably went back to Celsius and they lost it all. But crypto.com keep their doors open. BlockFi, same thing again. Bust. So crypto.com, out of these kind of platforms back in the day, I know they're more of an exchange as well, but they stayed alive, and that was one of the nice things I liked. And, you had all these controversial videos like, CoffeeZilla, etc. They're lowering their yield payments to users. They're not promising 10%, which was a crazy amount back then, but they stayed alive. And the guys that stayed in crypto.com, they still made more money. The guys that went to Celsius, BlockFi, and Voyager, what happened? They closed their doors. We had to wait 2 years to get back 25% of our money, and it was an absolute net negative. So I always respect platforms that are open. Say, hey guys, the bear market's here. We can't pay you as much. We're being realistic. We want you to stay with us, and we're cutting the rates in half. And the guys in crypto.com, they stayed alive. The guys in every other platforms like me, we got burned. So, remember my goal on these streams was always to make Isaac laugh. Anyways, no volume. Who's got no volume? Have we got volume?
I guess Parker said he can't hear.
Okay, I don't know why. Apparently we have no volume, but if you guys can hear me, drop it in the chat. So Parker can't hear us, whatever. I don't know. He's never, it's just me and you, Bobby. I don't know why he can't hear us. Let's keep going down the line. And he's posting in the chat. Parker, don't post in the chat. People can see that, man. Would you surprise the most to happen now and end of year? Okay, that's a very interesting question, right? People are always like, the 4-year cycle's finished. We have 45 days until the end of December, I think, give or take. Everybody, including us back in the day, and I'm still somewhat of a believer, altcoins have to run before that December, the 4-year cycle is finished. So, Bobby, is the 4-year cycle finished?
I mean, we're about to find out, right?
We're about to find out.
We're about to find out. I mean, honestly, one thing is clear. Look, liquidity is drying up. That's the main problem. So the era of free money, as of right now, it's really over. When I'm talking about liquidity in the system, per se. But when you look at 2020 and 2024, basically the system was on steroids. You had zero interest rate, you had stimulus checks, quantitative easing, a flood of capital, going into every risk asset on the planet. But that liquidity actually obviously builds bubbles. But that's not to say that we won't have an alt season. I honestly think we will, but it's only going to be in just a select few alts, right? But you you have to watch the stablecoin dominance. Then after that, you can see how the rotation is going to happen. It's probably going to go from gold into BTC, then maybe Ethereum and some of the other top alts. So I think we also, I still think we have a blow off top. Now, the $1 million question is, when is that going to happen? So if I had to take a guess, I honestly think it's going to be either by the end of the year or the first quarter of 2026, because after that, I think there's a recession and the writing's on the wall. So whether I'm just a guy here, but I'm warning you now, the global economy is going to be in a recession. People don't know much about the repo market, but we're going to be in a deep recession. So I don't want to sound dramatic, but if you look close enough, the writing's on the wall. This is not fear mongering. It's basically just recognizing patterns. History is basically whispering at you, and unfortunately, most people are too distracted to hear it. So I'm basically offering an olive branch, right? Basically saying, look, there's still going to be one more blow off top. So if you're in the red and you're afraid to take profits, when we really do see those pumps, adjust your expectations and start taking profits early.
But the problem with that is, right, when these pumps will come back, it's like they'll start to double down. They'll start to go again, and then it'll be too late. So there's only really three things that can happen, right? You get a massive blow off top and such. Obviously, it's not going to go to $400,000, but it would have to go so fast. It's really the only three things that happened. The other thing is you kind of go sideways for a little bit, and then you get that 2026 like some people are talking about, or the tough reality is that, which is over. Okay, we have to wait another 4 years, technically. Or the other one is, remember we talked about the business cycle. It almost becomes like Bitcoin just kind of runs like the S&P a little bit. It'll start to go up, then it'll have little dips. I don't know if that's a scenario as well. And then obviously random altcoins like Zcash, etc., with narratives, etc., run along the way. I don't necessarily want to see that to happen, because then it kind of like, I don't know what to do, right? Before, what we thought, if we look at 2017, 2021, it was kind of easy, right? It was an easier game, or at least it felt like that, even though you lost everything in 2021. But when you look back, it was just like, okay, you stack the solid blue chips, etc. You start to come down the line, you buy some meme coins, you buy some gaming coins. We don't even need to talk about gaming coins in this stream, because God help them. God help Alex Becker's YouTube channel. promoting all of these. God help my portfolio. I mean, again, I just show you these guys as complete transparency. If I come look at my portfolio, Gala, worst performer, guess what? It's a gaming coin. Illumium, $10,000 as well, down, worst performer, guess what? Gaming coin. So I don't even need to talk about gaming coins on this stream, because you already know what they're at. Now, do they come back? Maybe, but it's just hard to have conviction in coins that are down 90%. Okay, that were such strong coins in 2021, your Axie Infinities, your Sandbox, your Decentralized Mana. Those are all bleeding hard right now. So is there a game run? I don't know. But to go back to my original question, is maybe the business cycle is a thing. Do you have an analogy on that, Bobby? What do you think? I know I shared that with you before. Do you think that could be a thing or no?
For a business cycle?
Basically, what it basically means is it's like just Bitcoin kind of just has a little runs up. The 4 year cycle's finished and it has a little dip, and then it just continuously goes up like the S&P. Maybe a little bit more than 10% per year on its good years, but that's what some people are now coming up with their analogy.
I mean, it's possible. It's possible.
Anything's possible.
I mean, honestly, I'm of the idea that obviously governments can't save you, so you can't just print your way out of a mess, because the world itself is actually drowning in debt. So they already, they borrow trillions at 1%, then they refinance at 5%. Debt to GDP ratios are exploding, deficits are widening all across the world. So it's not just the US. You can just look at Japan, you can look at Europe. Every place on the planet is close to being broke, if they're not already. So basically every dollar they spend on interest repaying a debt is a dollar they can't spend, stimulating growth. And unfortunately, I'll say one last thing because I don't want to bore people, but the Fed's actually signaling doom, right? And here's the paradox, and most people don't understand this. The Fed just cut rates, okay, and they're probably going to do the same in December, and that's not bullish. That's basically a death sentence. So historically, rate cuts actually mark the end of the bull market, it's not the beginning. And when the Fed actually cuts, it's because something is broke, and they see that as weakness. So they're basically just reacting to pain, and they're very slow to react. That's part of the problem too. And every single time they start cutting after a tightening cycle, a recession follows. That's the only thing I'm saying. So, what's a bull market going to look after this cycle? I honestly don't know, but there's 2 dates you have to look, right? So when the government reopens in the US, which is going to be, I think, tomorrow, if not tonight, and then they're not necessarily reopening, they're doing what's called a continuing resolution. So they're only going to fund everything until January 30th, if I'm not mistaken. So afterwards, guess what? There could be another shutdown again, and that's not good for the markets. So that's why my bet is, I honestly think either there's a blow off top here towards the end of the year, or it's going to be very early first quarter 2026. But a recession is coming, no doubt. Take that to the bank.
All right. Good value, Bobby. I think we'll have you back. Are you enjoying the stream, Bobby? Is this something you would like to do? Or this is just like so uncomfortable for you?
No, I mean, it's not uncomfortable. I mean, this is a topic I enjoy. I mean, I do like the macro stuff, and I know it's kind of boring, and sometimes people, they don't care. But I enjoy it. I like to see how the markets are connected, how the bond market is connected, how the repo market is connected, how the stock market, and then it all trickles down to crypto, right?
Yeah. All right. I got one more question I need to answer, and then I'm going to chuck it back to Parker. So if anybody else has anything that's on their mind in 5 minutes in the live chat, chuck to Parker. If it's a question about Bobby, if you're panicking, etc., Parker will find. And Parker really will look for people that are struggling. Right? That's the reason why we do these streams. Like, we don't need to do these streams. We were just out for the smaller guy that's struggling, right? That's maybe has a question that is just really trying to understand what is possible in this market. Because I know there's a lot of guys that are just bleeding so heavily and thinking about pressing that sell button every single day. And if that's the right answer for you, if you're losing sleep about cryptocurrency, maybe you should do that. But if you want to be one of those guys that maybe potentially can change their life, you have to have bigger balls. You have to have more. We've all seen this. We've all been in this game for long enough where there will be pain across the way. So Parker, if you can do that, that'll be great. Last question that I want to answer. Just way too many questions as a community post. How do you make money in DeFi in a bear market with low risk? It's great to print in DeFi during a bull, but what about during a bear? It's a simple question, man. Again, we can only tell you what we're doing. So in a bull market, it's pretty simple. You have 2 coins. It looks like I'm going to draw another penis again, but I promise you I'm not. You have Bitcoin, for example, and you have AVAX. Your whole goal is to stack more altcoins in a bull run. And that's great if you can stay in range. And that's why you want to find assets that pretty much correlate. And guess what? You produce some more Bitcoins, you produce some more AVAX, or maybe you sell for a little passive income, right? In the bear market, it's a kind of different game. Now, the first thing you need to understand is, are we in the bear market? Because there's no point doing this and getting that wrong, and then you completely lose the shit. We're still in a bull market, and you're in the bear market strategy, and then you've done it wrong. And every time. In a bear market, what we really want to do is we want to go into, USDT, USDC. So you play the bull market as normal, although nobody's playing the bull market as normal now because we're all losing our shit. But ideally, you play the bull market as normal. You cash out 20% along the way. Maybe you do some strategies with Bobby, etc. And you go in stablecoins, right? And if you can get a big enough bag, to print, whatever the goals you are. If you have, I don't know, you cash out with $500,000, and that might seem crazy for some people. It might seem too bearish for other people. It depends on your goals. Again, The goal in cryptocurrency is always to move up the brackets, right? If you have 4 figures, okay, under $10,000, if you have $2,000, the goal is to get into that 5 figures. If you have 5 figures, the goal is to get into the 6-figure bracket. That's at least the way I see it, because if you have 4 figures, $2,000, $5,000, chances are you're not going to get in the 7-figure bracket. You can do that down the line. Okay, if you're in your 20s or 30s and you're a young enough guy, you can play the longer game here without having to lose everything. So bear market strategy, to answer that question, what you want to be is you want to be in stable coins, at least the way we're going to play it, because you don't want to be in asset-to-asset pools. If the assets are going down, it's just going to be a bumpy ride, because some of these altcoins, they might not come around. They might not come back. So again, bull market strategy, if you're using DeFi for 10, 20, 30% of your portfolio, you play that game. You guys already know how to do that. And then get on stablecoin pools. You're not going to make as much. It's not going to be the 6 to 10% per year. It might be 10 to 20% per year. But guess what? If you do make the 7 figures, you're printing 100K to 200K per year. And then what you want to do is really buy back the coins you believe in the accumulation zone / bull market, and you ride up the bull market strategy again. Does that make sense, Parker? Being the DeFi king, is that something you would do? Okay, he's not locked in. But that's basically what you want to do. Are you there? No? Can he hear us, Isaac? Why can't he reply to me? Well, he's just so dead. Bobby, can you hear me, or is it just me?
Well, I can definitely hear you.
Why is he sitting there not listening? He's going to watch back this stream and just realize what
locked in, man.
Yeah,
I'm ready to roll in this chat. Questions popping in. You can't hear me?
Is he so far behind?
Can you hear me?
On the stream?
Yo,
Parker,
yo. Hello. Hello. I'm talking. Can you not hear me?
Can we mute him, because like he's in timeout? Bobby, it's just me and you. Okay, you ready?
Okay.
Yeah, he's so far behind on the latency on the stream that he's making the stream so bad. So yeah, you heard me right. The chat heard me right. Is he just so far behind in the latency or whatever you call it? I don't know.
It's almost like he's been hypnotized or something.
This is why it's tough to do streams with Parker. You know, he says he's locked in, he's ready to do this, and he's sitting there with his little Versace robe and his little glasses, and now he's on timeout because he had one job to pick questions, and then when I go through a DeFi list, he just hello, can anybody hear me? So Bobby, it's just me and you. Jake and Bobby, is there anything you guys have in your portfolio that he's left? Good, don't let him come back. That you lost hope in on sold in the red. So I've not sold anything, but I can tell you, honestly, I'll be 100% honest with you guys. I don't think there's much hope for Gala Games. I'll ride this down to 0, but I'm not prepared to lose at such a massive loss of a 50% drop. It's the same with, like we talked about before, Illumium. I'm not prepared. I think I'm down I'm 89% down on Illumium. Isaac, why are you not sharing my screen? I'm 89% down on Illumium. Okay? I'm not prepared to just cash out $1,000 when I have $1 million portfolio. I'd rather ride that down to 0 and be like, okay, that was a bad trade. My other trades are going to make up for that. I'm not prepared to do that. So that's something as well. Veracity is another one. I'm down 74% on Veracity. TARS AI, I was up massive in that. I didn't take any profits because, again, bull market's coming. And they might well come back. But I'm not prepared to go down 68%. These are such small numbers right now, at least for my portfolio, when they were bigger numbers before. But I'm not prepared to take a loss on that. So that's just the way I look at it. If I maybe break even on some coins, for example, like Medicaid, I'm down. It's not even a lot of money, but I'm down 6%. I'm prepared to hold that. But again, I'm not prepared to not swap that if I see another interesting opportunity that I want to buy. Everything else, even Brett is barely in profit right now, although I made a lot of money on my DeFi pool and I scaled it to other pools. But my HODL position on Brett, it's bleeding a lot. It's bleeding a lot, but I'm still prepared to hold that for the potential meme coin based season. Everything else, I'm still holding. What about you, Bobby? Is there anything you're down on that you're prepared to sell and swap to something else? I know you're mostly cash, but is there anything you're looking at?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I have a lot of those tokens, but guess what? I already did a dress rehearsal when I sold most of my bags and went into cash. So one of my biggest losers, I guess at the moment, would definitely be Rune. Now, I mean, at this point for me, it makes no sense to sell, but at any chance I get to make a little bit of profit or even go break even, I'm probably going to get out, just because. Now, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of stuff happening, and but the price isn't following, right? So a lot of talk, but I don't see a lot of action. So at some point the music's going to stop, and that's the only really bag I hold, to be honest.
Don't join back these streams, Parker. You're on a permanent ban. I ban him from these streams, and he just pops up. I don't know, but
I had like a 30-second delay. It was
the
so
problem
bad.
is, I don't want to waste too much time on this. We've got 6 minutes left because we want to give the guys as much value as possible. The problem is, bro, when you join these streams and you're on a latency, you're so far behind. That's why you effed up there. Okay, everybody wants Bobby back on the streams.
Well, I don't know. It was funny. One guy thinks I'm an idiot, so that's always great. It's always funny.
I'm on
but look,
I'm dead.
I'll say, but that's always good. You know, this is not a cult. Everybody can have an opinion. It's always good to have a positive debate, right? And I'll just say something else, you know, before everybody just thinks I'm a bear, which I'm not. So here's a real twist. What I believe, honestly, before the collapse is going to be a final parabolic move. Because almost every market cycle, and we still haven't had that unless you're only looking at BTC, every cycle in history ends the same way. You have that euphoric last-ditch rally that traps everyone who swore they're going to sell the next time they get a chance. And that's the final season. That's the alt season that we're all wishing for, right? And I still think it comes. So the move right now is actually designed to make a lot of skeptics to say, hey, I'm going to capitulate here. I'm good. I'm out. It wants to make traders basically greedy again. But the most important part is they want to pull retail back into the fire. And that's the moment when everybody's going to say, hey, you see, the bull run isn't over, but that's going to be the trap. And that's when the smart money is going to start rotating out. And at the same time, retail is going to be doubling down. So then it's going to happen. Liquidity vanishes, but not yet. I don't know if that makes sense.
It makes sense. It makes sense. Parker, you got to stop DMing me, bro. We've took your job. Let's talk about ADA. We got 4 minutes left. Bobby, ADA is a coin that we don't really get a lot of people in our group talk about. It's actually funny. We had one guy, me and Parker, did an onboarding call with, and we're looking at monetizing his ADA. But ADA as an asset this cycle has underperformed. Let's just be honest. If we're being 100% transparent, so far ADA has underperformed, right? It's still a top 15 coin, whatever. 17, 20 billion market cap. 2017, it was great. 2021, that was when a lot of hype became Charles Hoskinson and what it could do. But this cycle, it's underperformed. So the question I have for you, Bobby, is somebody asking here about, do you think it can go back to all-time high? Or do we think last year's election pump was potentially the top for an ADA holder?
For ADA, I don't know. That's always a weird one, right? You know, with what's his name? Hodgkinson, Dave Hodgkinson?
Charles, you're not locked in.
Charles. Yeah, Charles. I'm sorry. You even made a documentary about him many, many years ago. I know you remember.
Yes.
It's hard to say because I know there's a lot of back holders. I sold mine a while ago, but I never know what to. I don't honestly. I can't really have a very smart opinion about ADA just because I honestly can't figure out. I can't figure the guy out. So I don't know if he's a fraud or if he's for real. I don't know.
I don't think he's a fraud. Here's the way I look at Charles, right? I know he had the documentary I made was like him getting banned from Ethereum and then launching ADA to kind of F Vitalik a little bit. They're not really in competitive markets. Again, cryptocurrency is about, you know, trying to change the world for some of these top projects, sure. I believe he's rich enough where he doesn't really need to like be a bad actor unless he decides to give up. But he's not here to pump and dump ADA, in my opinion, right? I just think these guys are so rich, like his net worth is probably super, super high, where he really doesn't care about buying a Lamborghini. Like, he's a very chill guy. He makes live streams in like the middle of nowhere. The last time I checked, like, he's just doing live streams all the time. That's why I like him, right? I like that he is talking about his project, trying to change the game. The problem with ADA, though, as a coin for this bull run is, like, number one, there's not really any hype about it. Now, I know hype you don't really need, but let's be honest, kind of need. Look at Zcash. There's only one reason why that's running, because a new narrative is changing. Does ADA have hype when people are talking about ADA compared to like the XRPs, right? If you just look at XRP army on Twitter and YouTube compared to ADA, probably 95% XRP videos compared to 5% ADA. Now, I know we're talking about YouTube, etc., but that does definitely help. And if you held ADA in the last 1 year, you're at break even, give or take. And if you held it in the last 10 months, you're at a massive, massive 50% loss at these heights here. So ADA perform has been terrible this year. I don't think it's done though. I don't know if it reaches the 2021 bull run peak, but it's going to be interesting. We have 1 minute left. Parker, do you want to redeem yourself?
Let's do it.
You have 1 minute to give any value. I know you're sad. We'll get you on Monday. Don't worry about it.
Ask me a question. Ask me a question. Come on. Lock me in, man. I'm back. Real time.
We have 1 minute. AVAX. Meg is asking AVAX. Can you talk about AVAX?
AVAX. Let's look at the chart here. I'm going to pull it up on my end real quick. Pull it up on your end. It's another chain that I really like monetization on. So it's great to build an income off the other assets, including AVAX. It's just a great chain to operate on to build that DeFi income. While we're hitting these lows here, accumulating more assets. Good entry price, it looks like. I mean, we're at our range lows here at $17. This is the period where I have been buying AVAX, but also I'm buying AVAX for free every day off of just, my DeFi portfolio there. So if we break through 17, I'm going to be honest, I don't know what's next. It's not looking good for AVAX. So if we're holding on to this, $15 to $17 level, we're holding strong. And then after that, I'm not sure. It's kind of free fall. So AVAX could be scary if we.
All right. Isaac, great stream. Parker, great stream. Bobby, we'll maybe see you next time. Parker, a little bit of homework to do on your side. And end the stream. Goodbye, guys. Stay locked in. Hopefully you enjoyed Bobby's value, and we'll try and convince him to maybe show his face next time. I don't know, though. Goodbye.
Your chat called me zesty, bro.
Yeah.